Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. No matter what time you're watching, welcome, and leave a comment. What town are you watching this story from? And listen, if this story showed up for you, it's because it deserves to be heard. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more like it. The sun beat down mercilessly on the cracked earth of Harmony Ridge, Texas. I stood there alone, like always, looking at the dry pasture that once was as green as hope. The wind only brought red dust and the bitter smell of the drought that had been going on for 5 months already. 3 years since Mary passed. 3 years of only talking to the cattle, the stars, and my memories. My name is John Carlos Ferreira. I'm 52 years old, with a life well lived and a lifetime of hard work etched into my calloused hands. I wake up every blessed day at 5 in the morning, not because the alarm clock tells me to, but because my body already knows the time, like a bird that knows the sunrise. The black coffee, strong as bitter medicine, burns my tongue. The same stale bread from yesterday dipped in the coffee, the same heavy loneliness as always, stuck to my chest like thick molasses. The ranch has 500 acres of good land that my father bought with the sweat of 40 years of farming. It was a beautiful sight when Mary was alive. She planted colorful flowers in front of the house, yellow sunflowers, red roses, white daisies that looked like stars fallen from the sky. She took care of the vegetable garden with a mother's love, made that food that smelled good from the gate, and invited the neighbors over for Sunday lunch. Today, it's just dry dirt, stretched fence, and skinny cattle. Functional, like an old machine, without soul, without joy, without color. The heat from that March morning rose early, like a snake in the yard. Before 7 o'clock, the thermometer hanging on the porch already read 100 degrees in the shade. The blue sky, too clear, too bright, without a single cloud to give hope of rain. It promised another oven of a day, one of those that crack the earth and dry up the last drop of water from the troughs. I was in the big corral, separating the cattle to brand the new calves, when the sweat started running down my back like a stream. The cotton shirt was already sticking to my body from early on. The strong smell of dry manure and red dust mixed in the still, heavy air that didn't even move. Not a breath of wind to give relief. The cows mooed softly, complaining about the heat that rose from the ground like steam. Some looked for the thin shade of the old mesquite trees that resisted the time. Others stood still in the middle of the pasture, swishing their tails non-stop to chase away the black flies that buzzed without rest. I knew each one by name, by their ways, by their faults. Stubborn Bess, Star who always ran away, Beauty who gave more milk, Sadness who lived isolated from the rest. They were my only company since Mary went to the other side. "Come on, Bess," I said to the most difficult cow who always gave trouble at branding time. "I don't have patience for your tantrums today." She looked at me with those big dark eyes, chewing the dry grass slowly, as if she understood that I was really being serious. She let herself be led to the iron chute without much resistance. Even she felt that the day was going to be long. I worked until noon sharp, when the sun was at its peak, cracking the earth, drying up everything that still had life. Even the mockingbirds hid in the shadows. Even the little birds stopped singing. The silence weighed in the air like a cloud of melted lead. It was the type of silence that made you think too much, remember things that hurt your chest and left your eyes wet. I remembered Mary laughing in the kitchen, singing old tunes softly while she made Sunday lunch. I remembered the smell of homemade food mixed with the cheap perfume she wore on Sundays. I remembered the silly conversations we had at the old wooden table, the plans that never came true, the children we tried to have and never came. 3 years already, and it seemed like it was yesterday that I buried her, but at the same time, it seemed like a lifetime since I saw her smile. "Missing her is a nasty critter," I murmured alone, wiping the sweat that ran down my face with the sleeve of my dirty shirt. "It bites from the inside, and there's no medicine to cure it." I decided to take a walk around the property before lunch. It was my custom, since I was a boy, to walk the land to see how the fences were, if any cattle had escaped through the holes, if the old watering holes still worked. I grabbed the yellow pickup, a beige F-150 that had more miles on it than I-95, noisy engine, but that never let me down, and drove slowly on the dirt road that cut the ranch from end to end. The dust rose behind the truck like a long yellow snake. On both sides of the road, the dry grass swayed with the hot wind that came from the north. In the distance, the bluish mountains shimmered in the heat like a mirage. It was beautiful in its own way, hard but beautiful. Land of strong people who don't give up easily, who know that after the drought, the rain always comes. I stopped at the back fence, where the wooden posts were a little crooked from time and sun. I needed to fix it soon, but there was no hurry. It was just another task to occupy my hands and not let my head wander too much through the sad paths of memory. I got out of the pickup and walked between the barbed wires, testing the tension with my hands, looking for weak spots that could become a problem. That's when I heard the different noise on the county road, the paved one that passed on the edge of the property and connected the village to the big city. An old car on the road, engine knocking and making the noise of an old can full of rocks. I looked over the barbed wire fence and saw a white sedan, all dusty and dirty from the road, smoking like a pressure cooker and stopping in the middle of the hot asphalt. I hesitated there, standing still, looking from afar. I'm not a man to meddle in other people's lives without being asked. I learned early on that everyone has their problems, their pains, and they don't always want help from strangers. But something bothered me about that scene. Maybe it was the clear memory of Mary's voice, who always said, "John, we always have to help those who need it. Maybe one day we'll need it too." I went back to the pickup slowly, thinking, driving to the iron gate that led to the paved road. The sedan was really stopped, hood raised, white steam rising to the blue sky, and someone was sitting in the shade of a dry tree on the side of the road. It was a woman, young, pregnant, very pregnant, a big belly that looked ready for the time. I stopped the pickup on the side of the road and got out slowly, watching carefully. She had her hand protecting her round belly, her face wet with sweat, and something that looked like despair mixed with fear. When she saw me coming, she struggled to get up, but it was difficult with that heavy belly. "Good afternoon, ma'am," I said, taking the cowboy hat off my head out of politeness. "Can I help you with something?" She looked at me with a strange mix of relief and suspicion. Her eyes were as dark as coffee, shining with anxiety and weariness. The light blue blouse was soaked with sweat. Her hands trembled a little, like a leaf in the wind. "Can you help me, please?" Her voice came out weak, as if it cost her to get it out of her dry throat. "The car broke down and I really need to get to Austin." Austin was more than 100 miles from there by dirt road and asphalt. With that scorching sun and on foot, no way. It was certain death. What happened to the car? "I don't know exactly. I don't understand anything about these things. I was driving normally on the road and suddenly it started making a nasty, strange noise. Then white smoke started coming out and it stopped completely." I approached the open hood to take a look. Big leak in the radiator, water running and making a puddle on the hot asphalt. Serious problem. One of those that can't be solved easily. I could see that the water pump had also gone bad. That car wasn't going to leave there anytime soon, maybe not even on the same day. "What's your name?" I asked, returning to the shade where she was. "Luana." She ran her hand over her sweaty forehead, wiping the sweat that wouldn't stop running. "Luana Ferreira Santos. John Carlos Ferreira. I own the ranch back there." I pointed to the white house that could be seen over the dry pastures. "This car won't run anymore today. Radiator has a bad leak and the water pump is bad too." I saw the fear grow in her eyes, like a shadow when the sun hides. Real fear, the kind that makes a person tremble even with 100 degrees in the shade. I need to get to Austin today, she said, almost whispering, her voice choked up. It's very, very important. Why, Miss Luana? Some emergency? Someone sick? Luana looked to the sides, nervous, as if someone could be listening to our conversation in the middle of that desert of dry dirt and yellow grass. It's kind of complicated to explain, you know? I didn't insist at the time. Everyone has their secrets, their reasons that they prefer to keep to themselves, and she was clearly scared of something that went beyond the broken car. Come home, I said, deciding at the time without thinking much. There's cold water, good shade, food. We'll think of a solution to your problem. She hesitated, measuring me from top to bottom carefully. It was natural. A woman alone, pregnant, in the middle of nowhere with a strange man. I could be anything, bandit, crazy, any type of danger. I promise on my wife's soul that you're safe, I said, trying to convey all the confidence I could. My Mary always said that our house was a shelter for those who needed it. Open door for any needy person who arrived. Always said, she asked, catching the past tense in my speech. She died 3 years ago. Cancer that ate everything from the inside. Something changed in her face when she heard that, as if pain recognized pain, as if someone who has already suffered knew how to identify the suffering in the other just by looking. I'm sorry, she said softly, with sincerity in her voice. Life is like that, Miss Luana. We keep going and enduring what comes. She nodded slowly and said, okay then. Thank you very much. I helped her get into the old pickup. It wasn't easy, with that big belly that looked ready to explode. She winced in pain when she sat down, instinctively taking her hand to the side of her belly. Is something hurting? I asked, worried. It's nothing much, just the baby's weight and the weariness of the trip. But I noticed she was lying. There was something more in that look, in that different way of breathing. Some pain that she didn't want to show or didn't know how to explain. We drove in silence for the 5 minutes it took from the road to the wooden and brick house, the hoarse noise of the pickup's engine mixed with the hot wind that came in through the open windows. She looked at everything carefully. The cattle scattered around the pasture, the licked salt troughs, the half-dry watering holes, the simple house that appeared in the middle of the yellowish green of the drought. It's beautiful here, she said, more to break the heavy silence than to start a conversation. It was much more beautiful when Mary was alive. She took care of the plants, the colorful flowers, the vegetable garden. She made everything more cheerful, more alive. Did you have children? We couldn't. We tried for many years, but it didn't come. It was her dream to have a house full of children running around the yard. I stopped the old pickup in front of the house. The silence weighed between us. Stories of dreams that didn't come true always created that type of sad and heavy silence. Come on, I said, getting out and walking around to help her. Let's get out of this sun that's killing. The house was silent as always, full of that heavy silence that I already knew by heart. The ceiling fan in the living room turned slowly, making that monotonous noise that I didn't even hear anymore. The thick brick walls kept the environment cooler than outside, but even so, the afternoon heat was heavy like a wet blanket. I turned on the wall fan too and went to get some very cold water from the old refrigerator. Sit there on the couch, I said, pointing to the brown leather furniture that Mary had chosen about 10 years ago. It was a little worn by time, but still comfortable. Do you want a glass of very cold water? I have cashew juice too. Water, please. I'm very thirsty. She sat down very carefully, sighing in relief when she could finally rest her body. I could see better now, in the yellowish light of the room. She must have been about 25 years old, a thin but pretty face, dark brown hair tied in a half-undone ponytail. The light blue blouse was wrinkled and wet with sweat from the trip. The simple sandals were dusty from the walk to the shade of the tree. I brought a big glass of cold water that made ice on the outside. She drank it all at once, like someone who had been thirsty for many hours. Do you want more? I asked. Please, if it's not a bother. I went back to the kitchen to fill the glass again. While the cold water went down the spout, I noticed her hands better. Nails bitten to the quick, fingers trembling a little even with the body at rest. Clear signs of nervousness, of fear, of someone who is running away from something bad. "When is the baby due?" I asked, handing over the second glass. "The doctor in Lewis Edwards said it could be any time. I'm already at the end of my term." She grimaced and took her hand to the side of her big belly. "The contractions have already started 2 days ago, but they're still weak. At least that's what I thought." I felt a sudden chill in my stomach. Any moment meant that the baby could be born there in my house, far from the hospital, far from any specialized medical help. The nearest town with a decent hospital was Austin, and with her car broken. Is that why the rush to get there today? Yes, my older sister lives there. "Marcia, she's going to help me at the time of birth. Everything is already arranged. Private doctor, private hospital, everything paid for." "And the child's father?" Her silence was more eloquent than any answer with words. She lowered her dark eyes, fidgeted nervously with the empty glass, sighed deeply like someone carrying a big weight on their chest. "There's no father," she said at last, her voice almost a whisper. "I mean, there is, but it's very complicated to explain. I didn't insist at the time. Everyone has their wounds, their stories that they prefer not to tell strangers. I myself had my pains kept in the depths of my chest. Are you hungry? I can make a simple lunch. I don't want to give you trouble. You've already done too much." "What trouble is that? I have to eat anyway. It's just making a little more." I went to the kitchen and started preparing the food. White rice, pinto beans that had been soaking since yesterday, and some beef jerky from the freezer. Simple but hearty and tasty things. While I was cooking on the gas stove, I listened to her moving around in the living room, walking slowly, stopping every now and then. "John Carlos," her voice came from the kitchen door. "What is it, Miss Luana?" "Can I use the restroom? I really need to." "Of course you can. It's down the long hallway, first door on the right." She walked slowly out of the living room, one hand supporting her back, the other holding her heavy belly. She was clearly uncomfortable. The contractions must have been getting stronger and more frequent. I kept stirring the beans on the stove and thinking about what to do if she went into labor right there. What to do if the baby decided to be born. I didn't understand anything about childbirth. I had never seen a woman giving birth. Mary had lost 2 babies when they were just a little hope growing in her womb. We never made it to the actual birth. She came back a few minutes later, paler than before. "Is everything all right?" I asked, seeing her face. "Yes, it is. It's just the weariness from the long trip and the heat, but I could clearly see that everything was not all right." She held onto the furniture to balance herself, breathed in a strange way, stopped in the middle of the way, as if she were waiting for a pain to pass. I served lunch at the wooden table in the kitchen. We ate in silence, each one lost in their own heavy thoughts. Every now and then, she would stop eating, put her hand on her belly, close her eyes, and wait. "Are the pains increasing?" I asked carefully. "A little, but I can still handle it just fine." "Miss Luana, if you go into labor here..." "It's not going to happen," she cut me off too quickly, with despair in her voice. "It can't happen here. I need to get to Austin no matter what." There was real despair in her voice. It wasn't just a matter of convenience or preference for a hospital. It was as if her life depended on getting to that city, as if it were a matter of life and death. "Why is it so important? Can't your sister come pick you up by car?" "She doesn't have her own car, and besides..." Luana hesitated, looking out the kitchen window, as if someone could be spying outside. "There are people who can't know where I am right now." Now I was starting to understand the situation better. She was running away from someone, and by the despair in her eyes, by the fear in her voice, it was something serious and dangerous. "Who?" I asked directly. The baby's father. He's not a good person at all." Oh, did he hurt you? She didn't answer with words, but the answer was clear in her shoulders curved forward, in the way she looked down when she talked about him, in the way she protected her belly with both hands. Does he know you're pregnant? Yes, he knows. And he wasn't happy about the news at all. Did he threaten you? He said that if I had this baby, if I didn't get rid of it, he would do very bad things to me. Her voice trembled like a leaf in the wind. That's why I ran away from home in the middle of the night. I couldn't stay there even one more day. Where did you live? Louis Edward. Small town in the countryside. Everyone knows each other. Everyone knows everyone's life. There was no way to hide there. Louis Edward was about 4 hours away by car on a good road, far enough for her to feel safer, but not enough if the guy decided to go looking. And does he know you came to Austin? I don't think so. At least I hope he doesn't know. No, we finished eating in heavy silence. I helped to clear the dirty dishes, but she insisted on washing them. Let me help with at least this. You've already done too much for a stranger. While she was washing the dishes in the kitchen, I went out to take a better look at her car. I grabbed the pickup and went back to where the sedan was stopped on the road. The engine had cooled down, but the problem was really serious. It wasn't just the punctured radiator, the water pump had also completely broken down. Without new parts, and without a specialized shop nearby, that car wasn't going to run anytime soon. I went back home carrying the bad news. Luana was sitting on the wooden porch, enjoying the afternoon shade and the weak breeze that was starting to pick up with the end of the most intense heat of the day. So, can it be fixed? She asked, already guessing by my face that it wouldn't be good. It's not just the radiator, Miss Luana. The water pump broke down too. Without new parts, without a specialized shop, it's going to take a few days to fix it. I saw the despair take over her face like a dark cloud covering the sun. A few days. At least 3 or 4. And look, even if it were just the radiator, there was no way to fix it today. It's already past the time for any shop to be open. She was silent, her hands trembling more than before. A thick tear ran down her sweaty face and fell on her blue dress. I need to get out of here, she whispered, her voice choked up. I need to get to Austin before he finds out where I am. Calm down, Miss Luana. We'll figure something out. Tomorrow early morning I'll take you in my pickup. It's not that long of a trip. Would you really do that? For a stranger? Of course I would. The distance isn't a problem. She looked at me with a strange mixture of gratitude and suspicion, as if she couldn't believe that a stranger would be willing to help without wanting anything in return. Why? You don't even know me from anywhere. You don't need to know to help someone who needs it. You're in a difficult situation, I can help. Simple as that. But what if... She couldn't finish the sentence. A new contraction arrived, stronger than all the others until then. She bent over her big belly, breathing deeply and holding on to the edge of the chair. Miss Luana, it's passing, she said between clenched teeth. It was just stronger now. I waited for the pain to pass completely. When she straightened up in the chair, she was even paler and sweating more. I think you better rest a little. Tomorrow we'll leave very early before the sun gets hot. Where am I going to sleep? There's a room that was Mary's. It's a little unused, but it has a good bed, clean sheets, a fan that works. You can feel at home as if you were at your own house. Thank you, John Carlos. You can't imagine what this means to me now. Yes, I can, Miss Luana. I've been lost and needing help too. She looked at me with curiosity, but didn't ask questions. Maybe she understood that we all have our losses, our moments of despair, our times of needing the kindness of others. I took her to the room that had been Mary's, changed the sheets for other clean ones, turned on the old fan that still worked well. It was the same room where Mary had slept in the last difficult months, when the disease was already very advanced, and she no longer had strength for almost anything. I hadn't entered there since the day of the funeral, but in some strange way, seeing Luana there didn't hurt me as much as I thought it would. It was as if life was returning to that space that was dead. "If you need anything during the night, just call," I said from the door. "My room is right there in front, on the other side of the hallway." "John Carlos? What is it?" "Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. You are a very good person." "We do what we can, Miss Luana." I closed the door slowly and went to the front porch. The sun was setting behind the hills, painting the whole sky red and gold. The crickets were starting their noisy symphony of the night. The cattle were slowly gathering at the watering holes to drink water and rest. It was the time of day that I missed Mary the most, the time when she would sit next to me on the rocking chair and we would talk about the day, about the plans for the next day, about life. Today, I wasn't completely alone. I had a pregnant woman sleeping in my dead wife's room. A woman running away from something dangerous, carrying a new life in her big womb, and in some way that I couldn't explain, it didn't bother me. Maybe it was exactly what I needed without knowing, to have someone to take care of, someone who needed me, someone who made me feel useful again. But deep down in my chest, I knew that this calm wouldn't last long. The contractions were getting stronger and closer, and something inside me said that we weren't going to make it to Austin in time. I woke up with a soft moan coming from the room next door. It was still dark outside, but I could already hear the first birds singing in the yard. It must have been about 5 in the morning. I got up slowly from the bed, wearing only the old shorts and a cotton t-shirt, and listened carefully to the silence of the morning. Another moan, stronger and more prolonged. I knocked slowly on the room door. "Miss Luana? Is everything all right in there?" "John Carlos." Her voice came out weak, half muffled by the pillow. I think the pains are much stronger now." I opened the door carefully. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, bent over her enormous belly, breathing deeply and straining. Her hair stuck with sweat on her forehead, her face contorted with real pain. "Since what time?" "About 3 in the morning. I tried to hold on alone, but..." She made a new grimace, more intense. "Oh my God." I sat down on the old chair next to the bed. "How much time is passing between one pain and another?" "I don't know exactly. Maybe 10 minutes? 15? They're getting closer." It wasn't time to panic completely yet, but it wasn't something to ignore or let pass either. I had seen a cow giving birth many times. Keeping the obvious differences, the natural process was similar. When the contractions became regular and close, it was a sign that things were moving forward. "I'm going to make some strong coffee and heat up some things to eat. We'll leave for Austin as soon as you feel a little better." "Thank you." She held my hand when I got up, her fingers cold despite the heat. "John Carlos, what if there isn't time to get there?" "There will be time. First child always takes longer to be born." I didn't know if that was true or not, but I needed to convey confidence and peace of mind. In the kitchen, while the coffee was brewing in the cloth filter, I was thinking about what to do if the situation really got complicated. I didn't have a cell phone. I never needed one. I always thought these modernities were unnecessary for someone who lives in the countryside. The nearest landline was in the village, 15 kilometers away on the dirt road. I prepared a simple but well-made breakfast. French bread with butter, coffee with very sweet milk, some fruits that I had in the refrigerator, white cheese that the neighbor had brought. When I returned to the room with the tray, she was standing, walking from one side to the other. "They say walking helps at the time," she explained, one hand on her back and the other on her belly. "My sister Marcia told me that. I brought breakfast. You need to feed yourself well. I don't know if I can eat anything. Try at least a little. You're going to need a lot of strength." She managed to drink a little coffee with milk and eat half a bread with butter. Between one sip and another, she would stop, breathe deeply, wait for the wave of pain to pass completely. "Miss Luana," I said slowly, choosing my words carefully, I want you to be honest with me about one thing. How did he treat you? The baby's father. She stopped eating, looked out the window at the yard where the chickens were already scratching the dirt. It took a long time to answer, as if she were gathering courage. In the beginning, he was affectionate, attentive. I worked at his building materials store. He was my boss. We started going out dating. He seemed like a good man from a good family. And when did he change? When I got pregnant. Her voice got lower, sadder. He said I had done it on purpose, to trap him in marriage, that he didn't want a child with a poor employee. He said things, very bad and cruel things. Did he hit you? He didn't hit me with his hands, but he pushed me hard against the wall, held my arm very tight, leaving a purple mark, screamed in my face, and threatened to do worse things. Like what? He said that if I didn't get rid of the baby, he would find a way to make me disappear forever, that he knew people who solved this type of problem without leaving a trace. I felt the blood rush to my head like a pressure cooker. What kind of cowardly man threatens a pregnant woman? What kind of animal does that to someone who carries a child in their womb? Is that why you ran away in the middle of the night? I was very afraid. He has money, he has political influence in the city. If he wanted to hurt me for real, he would get it easily, and no one would be able to help me or protect me. And your family? Couldn't your parents help? My mother died when I was a girl, from cancer like your wife. My father, he drinks too much since she died. He never cared much about me and my sister. I only have Marcia to count on. A new contraction arrived, stronger than the previous ones. More delayed too. She bent over the kitchen table, holding onto the edge with strength and moaning softly. Oh my God. I waited for the pain to pass, watching the clock on the wall. Not even 5 minutes had passed since the last contraction. I think we better go now, I said, worried. The pains are getting closer and stronger. She nodded, sweating a lot. I helped her to get up slowly, picked up the small leather bag that she had brought from the broken car. We went slowly to the pickup parked in front of the house. Can you get in? Yes, I can. But it cost her a lot. She was clearly uncomfortable and in pain. I accommodated her in the passenger seat, adjusted the seatbelt passing under her big belly, turned on the old air conditioning that still worked. Ready for the trip? Let's go soon. We left the ranch when the sun was still low on the horizon, painting everything in gold. The dirt road was in good condition. It hadn't rained for many weeks, so there was no mud or big holes full of water. Even so, I drove very slowly, trying to avoid any bumps or holes that could bother her. Luana was quiet for the first few kilometers, one hand protecting her belly, another holding onto the car's panel. Every now and then, she would grimace in pain, breathe deeply, and count on her fingers. Tell me more about your sister, I said, trying to distract her from the pain. Her name is Marcia Ferreira, but now it's Marcia dos Santos. She's 3 years older than me, works at a women's clothing store in Austin. Married last year to a car mechanic, a hard-working and good man. Does she know about her situation? She knows everything exactly. It was her who told me to leave Louis Edward running, said that if I stayed there, things would end badly for sure. She's completely right. A new contraction arrived when we were reaching the main paved road, much stronger than the previous ones. Luana bent forward, groaning loudly in pain. Stop the car, she asked, panting. Please, stop the car now. I pulled over to the side of the road. She opened the door quickly and put her feet out, breathing deeply and straining. She was very pale, sweating heavily. It's passing, she muttered after a while. It's already passing. We waited a few minutes until she felt better. When she managed to settle back into the seat, we returned to the road. But I already knew in my heart that we weren't going to reach Austin in time. The contractions were too close, too intense. Miss Luana, are you sure you want to try to go to Austin? There's a clinic in town that... No! The answer came quickly, almost desperately. "It has to be Austin. My sister is waiting, the doctor is warned. But if the baby decides to be born in the middle of the road, it's not going to be born now." She spoke as if she could convince her own body. "There's still a lot of time left. First child takes a long time, doesn't it?" I nodded my head, but inside I was very worried. More worried than I wanted to show. We drove for another 40 minutes along the road. With each new stop, because of the pain, it became clearer that the situation was getting complicated quickly. The contractions were now coming every 3-4 minutes at most. Luana couldn't sit normally in the seat anymore. She moved non-stop, looked for a position, groaned softly between her teeth. "John Carlos." Her voice came out trembling, full of fear. I think we're not going to make it." "How far is it to Austin?" "About 50 miles still." She closed her eyes, calculating in her head. A new pain arrived, the strongest so far. She screamed softly and bent over the car's dashboard. "Stop!" she shouted loudly. "Stop the car now! Now!" I stopped on the side of the road again. This time she got out quickly, stood outside, holding on tight to the open door. She was panting, trembling with fear and pain. "The baby is coming," she said, with tears running down her face. "It's coming right now." I looked around, desperate. We were in the middle of nowhere. Dry fields on both sides of the road, no house in sight on the horizon. The sun was already high, promising another day of infernal heat. "Miss Luana, let's go back to the ranch. There you'll be more comfortable, there's water, there's everything you need." "There's no time to go back," she shouted, really desperate. "The baby is going to be born here on the side of the road." I felt my heart accelerate like an unbalanced engine. I'd never been in a situation like this. I didn't know what to do, how to help, but looking at her, seeing the despair and the fear in her eyes, I understood that I needed to make a quick decision. "Get back in the car. We're going home running. There'll be time, I promise." "Are you sure?" "I'm totally sure, trust me." She got back in the pickup, moaning in pain. I turned around on the road and started driving back home, now faster than before. My heart was beating hard in my chest. In 20 minutes, if I ran a little more, we would be back. What I didn't know was that 20 minutes could be an eternity when a baby is determined to be born. We hadn't even reached half the way back when Luana shouted for me to stop again. This time, it was different from all the others. It wasn't just pain. It was pure panic. Fear of death. "John Carlos, stop! Stop right now!" I pulled the pickup over to the side of the road with my heart racing like a frightened animal. She was already getting out before the car stopped completely. She went straight to the back of the pickup, leaned on the iron truck bed, her legs half open and trembling. "The baby is coming out!" she shouted, with thick tears running down her sweaty face. "I feel him coming down! He's coming out now!" I got out running and went to her. She was panting, sweating heavily, her face red from straining non-stop. "Are you sure, Miss Luana?" "I'm sure. Oh my God, I'm sure." She bent over again, screaming softly. "I can't hold it anymore, I can't." I looked around, completely desperate. We were on a long, straight stretch of highway, with dry and yellow fields on both sides. No one had passed on that stretch for several minutes. The sun was already strong in the blue sky, promising another day of 100 degrees in the shade. It wasn't a place for a child to be born. "Miss Luana, listen here." I held her face with both hands, forcing her to look me in the eyes. "We're going to figure it out, all right? You're not alone. I'm here." "I'm very scared," she cried like a child. "I'm very scared." "I'm scared too. But we're going to make it, yes, together." I thought quickly about what to do. In the truck bed of the pickup, there was a clean canvas that I used to cover feed when I transported it. In the back seat, there was an old but clean blanket. It wasn't a maternity ward, but it was what we had in our hands. "Come here with me." I helped her to move to the side shadow of the pickup. "I'm going to arrange a better place for you to stay." I spread the large canvas on the dirt floor on the side of the pickup that was protected from the strong sun. I took the thick blanket from the back seat and made a kind of makeshift pillow. It wasn't a modern maternity ward, but it was the best I could do at that moment. "Lie down here on the canvas," I said, helping her to settle down. "I can't lie down. I need to stand up or squat. It's better for the baby to come down." She knew more than I about these things of childbirth. I let her find the position that she thought was better and more comfortable. She was half crouched, leaning on the side of the pickup with both hands. "John Carlos," she said between one contraction and another, panting, "I've never done this before. I don't really know what to do." "Neither do I, Miss Luana, but nature knows the way. Women have been doing this for thousands of years, since the beginning of the world." A new contraction arrived, stronger than all the others together. Luana screamed loudly and bent over, making an instinctive and powerful force. When the pain passed, she was even more panting. "I think it's really coming," she murmured, scared. "I feel a pressure, different from everything." My heart was beating so hard that I could hear the noise in my ears. I had never felt so unprepared for anything in my whole life. I knew how to take care of sick cattle. I knew how to plant at the right time. I knew how to fix broken fences. But this was completely unknown territory. "What do I do now?" I asked, more to myself than to her. "I don't know. Stay here with me, please. Don't leave me alone here. I'm not going to leave here, I promise." During the next violent contraction, she made a force different from before, more intense, deeper, and suddenly shouted loudly, "It's coming out! I feel the baby's head." I looked carefully and saw that she was right. For the first time in my whole life, I was seeing a child being born for real. It was scary and amazing at the same time, like witnessing a miracle. "What do I do now?" I asked, trembling. "Hold it. When it comes out, hold it carefully." I stretched out my calloused hands, trembling like a leaf in the wind. The next contraction came strong like a wave of the sea. Luana strained, shouting, and suddenly the baby's small head was there, in my hands, small, wet, perfect like a work of art. "The head is out," I said, moved to tears. "Miss Luana, the head is out." "The shoulders," she shouted, panting. "Now comes the shoulders." The next contraction brought a tiny shoulder, then the other, and suddenly, in a last powerful force, the whole baby slipped into my hands. Small, wet, slippery like a freshly caught fish. For a few terrible seconds, the baby was completely quiet, bluish. He didn't cry, he didn't move. "Why isn't he crying?" Luana asked, desperate. "Why isn't my baby crying?" I remembered something I had seen in an old soap opera on television. I turned the baby upside down very carefully and gave a few light pats on his small back. Nothing happened. A few more strokes, a little stronger. And then, like a real miracle, came the cry. Strong, angry, full of new life. "He's crying!" Luana laughed and cried at the same time. "My baby is crying!" I held the child with all the care in the world, still in complete shock with what had just happened in front of me. It was a boy, small, but he seemed healthy and strong. His lungs worked perfectly from the loud noise he was making. "It's a boy," I said, moved to the bottom of my soul. "You have a son." Luana stretched out her trembling arms. I placed the baby on her chest, still connected by the umbilical cord. She hugged him tight, crying with relief and pure happiness. "Hi, my love," she whispered to the baby. "Hi, my little prince." For a few minutes, the three of us stood there, on the side of the dusty road. The sun beating down strong, the heat rising from the hot asphalt. But at that moment, it seemed that we were in the most sacred place in the whole world. "And now?" I asked. "The cord, it has to be cut, but not here on the road. Let's go to your house first. It's safer and cleaner there. Can you get in the car?" "I think so." I helped her to get up very slowly, still holding the baby carefully. The umbilical cord was longer than I imagined. It allowed her to move without problems. I accommodated mother and son in the back seat of the pickup, put the clean blanket over the two. "Let's go slowly," I said, with great care. The trip back to the ranch was the tensest of my entire life. I drove slowly like a snail, avoiding any bumps or holes, looking in the rearview mirror every second. Luana was tired but well. The baby cried from time to time, but he seemed healthy and strong. "John Carlos," she said softly when we were arriving at the property. "What is it, Miss Luana?" "Thank you. If you weren't there with me." "I was, and everything is all right now. You two are well and safe." "How am I going to pay for something like that?" "You're not going to pay anything. Some things in life we do because we have to do them, because it's right and human." We arrived at the ranch when the sun was already high in the blue sky. I helped Luana to get down carefully and to walk slowly to the house. She was weak, but managed to walk. The baby was quiet now, sleeping peacefully on his mother's chest. "I need warm water, a very clean pair of scissors and alcohol," she said, "to cut the umbilical cord. Do you know how to do this?" My sister explained everything to me, in case exactly this happened. I prepared everything she asked for very carefully. With steady hands, she herself cut the umbilical cord, teaching me where to squeeze before cutting. The baby didn't even wake up. "Ready," she said, exhausted but happy. "Now he's already an independent person." I looked at the boy in his mother's arms. He had dark hair, a small and perfect face like a doll. He slept peacefully, as if being born on the side of a road was the most natural thing in the world. "What are you going to call him?" Luana thought for a long moment, looking out the window at the fields golden by the strong morning sun. "Carlos," she said, looking me straight in the eyes. "I'm going to call him Carlos, in your honor." I felt a huge lump in my throat. It had been a long time since anyone had honored me for anything. It had been a long time since I had felt useful, important to someone in the world. "Are you sure about that?" "I'm totally sure. You brought him into the world with your own hands. Without you, I don't know what would have happened to me and him." The baby woke up and began to murmur softly. Luana smiled and put him on her chest. He found the nipple alone and began to suck peacefully. "It's amazing," she murmured, fascinated. "He already knows what to do." I stood there looking, completely fascinated. I had never seen such a new baby. I had never participated in the birth of a child. It was as if I had witnessed a true miracle. But in the back of my head, a worry was starting to grow slowly. Luana was safe for now. But what about when the baby's father found out that she had fled, and when he came looking? For now, mother and son were protected in my house. But how long would that last? As if she could read my thoughts, Luana looked at me and said, "John Carlos, can I stay here a few more days, just until I feel stronger to travel?" "You can stay as long as you need," I replied without hesitation. "This house is yours too now." And it was completely true. For the first time in 3 long years, that house was coming back to have real life. It was coming back to have a purpose. It was coming back to be a home. Luana and little Carlos stayed 5 whole days at the ranch. 5 days that completely transformed my routine from top to bottom. The house that before was just heavy silence and sad memory now had babies crying, low conversations, genuine laughter, the beautiful sound of life happening again. Luana recovered quickly from the difficult birth. She was a strong woman, used to taking care of herself since she was a girl. On the 2nd day, she was already helping in the kitchen, insisting on doing something to reciprocate the hospitality. She cooked well, with the manner of someone who learned out of necessity, not out of luxury or fun. "My mother died when I was only 12 years old," she told me on a hot afternoon, while making a simple cake with the ingredients she had in the pantry. "I had to quickly learn to take care of myself and take care of my sister too. My father, he didn't pay much attention to us. How did she die? Breast cancer, like your wife Mary." She stopped stirring the batter for a moment. "It's strange how life brings together people who have gone through the same pain, isn't it?" It was strange indeed, as if pain were a special language that only those who have lived it can fully understand. Baby Carlos was calm and good. He cried only when he was hungry or had a dirty diaper. The rest of the time, he slept like a little angel or looked around with those dark and curious eyes. Sometimes I would just watch him, impressed with the miracle that represented. A new life that had begun there on my ranch with my calloused hands. On the morning of the 6th day, Luana was breastfeeding Carlos on the porch when she sat next to me in the rocking chair. "John, Carlos, I need to tell you something important." From the serious tone of her voice, it wasn't good news. "What is it?" "Last night, when you went to take care of the cattle, I walked to town and called my sister. From the payphone in the town square, I felt a sudden chill in my stomach. And then, she said that he showed up there in Austin, Rogerio, Carlos's father, at her house, at the hospital where I was going to have the baby, at the store where she works, asking if I had appeared there. Said that I had run away from home, that he was very worried about me. Did your sister tell him anything?" "No, she is smart and suspicious. Said she didn't know anything, that she hadn't talked to me in a long time, but he didn't believe the story." "How do you know?" "Because he went back there the next day, and the day after that too. He knows that I was going to Austin. It's just a matter of time until he finds out that I'm here." I looked at the baby breastfeeding peacefully, oblivious to the danger that surrounded him. How could someone want to harm such a small and helpless child? "What do you want to do?" I asked. "I don't know anymore. I can't go back to Louis Edward. I can't go to Austin. I have nowhere to go now." "Yes, you do. You can stay here as long as you want." "I can't ask you that, John Carlos. You've already done too much for a stranger, and if he finds out that I'm here, it's going to cause serious trouble for you too. Let me worry about my problems." She looked at me with those tired eyes, but full of gratitude. "Why are you doing this? Why are you helping me so much?" It was a question that I myself asked every day. Why was I so willing to protect a woman I barely knew? Why did I feel so much anger towards a man I had never seen in my life? "I can't explain it right," I said after thinking for a while. "But since Mary died, I felt useless, as if I no longer had a reason to be alive. And then you guys appeared, and suddenly I had someone to take care of, someone who needed me. It's been a long time since I felt important to someone. You are very important, to me and to Carlos." The baby had finished breastfeeding, and his eyes were closed, satisfied and sleepy. Luana put him on her chest, caressing his small head. "I'm going to give you some advice," I said. "If he shows up here, you and the boy hide in the back room of the house. Let me talk to him first. And if he doesn't accept a civil conversation..." I looked at the old shotgun hanging on the wall of the living room. It was a 20 gauge, which I used to scare off mountain lions when they appeared threatening the cattle. It had been years since I needed to use it for that, but it was clean and loaded. "He will accept," I said firmly. That hot afternoon, while Luana rested with the baby, I went out to take a full walk around the property. It was something I did every day, but this time I was more attentive and observant, checking all the fences, all the accesses, thinking about escape routes if necessary. The ranch had 2 main entrances, the one in front, which led to the paved county road, and a secondary one in the back, which led to the property of my neighbor Tony. If necessary, Luana could leave through the back on foot and reach his house, who lived 2 kilometers away. It was a plan, at least. I went back home when the sun was setting slowly. Luana was in the kitchen preparing dinner. The tasty smell of home cooking filled the whole house, reminding me of how good it was to have someone taking care of the home. "I made stewed chicken with okra," she said, smiling. "I found the okras in the garden behind the house. Mary's garden. She planted those okras before she died. She had very good taste, everything very well taken care of and organized. We had dinner at the kitchen table, talking about simple and everyday things. The baby was sleeping in the improvised crib that we made with a wooden box and some soft blankets. It was a domestic scene that I hadn't lived in 3 years, strangely familiar and comfortable. "John Carlos," Luana said while we were washing the dishes together. "Can I ask you a very personal question?" "You can ask. Have you ever thought about getting married again, looking for someone to share your life?" "I never thought about it, not once." "Why?" "Because I thought that there was nothing else after Mary, that part of my life had ended along with her, forever. And now, do you still think that?" I looked at her, who was drying a plate carefully without looking at me directly. There was something in the question that went beyond simple curiosity. Now I don't know anymore. You two changed something in here." I patted my chest where my heart was. "I can't explain exactly what, but you changed everything." She smiled then, a smile that was timid but warm like the morning sun. "You also changed something very important in us. Carlos was born in your hands. In a way, you are like a father to him." A father? I had never thought about it that way. But in fact, I had been the first person to touch that child, the first to see him breathe, the first to hear him cry. There was something very special in that, something that created a bond that went far beyond logic. "If he were my real son," I said slowly, "I would protect him with my own life. I know that, and he knows it too, even being so small." We were silent for a long moment, each lost in our own thoughts. There was something forming between us, something delicate like a flower sprouting in the dry soil. But there was also the constant shadow of the threat, the possibility of everything collapsing at any moment. It was exactly then that we heard the noise of engines on the road. Luana stiffened immediately, her face turning pale. "It's him," she whispered, with fear in her voice. "I know it's him." The noise of the engines got louder, approaching the property. Then it stopped completely. In front of the house. "Go to the back room," I said softly but firmly. "Take the boy and go. Don't come out of there until I call you. And if he..." "Go now, Luana, go." She ran to get the baby, who was sleeping peacefully, and disappeared into the hallway of the house. I heard the door of the room closing carefully. I grabbed the shotgun from the wall, loaded both barrels, and went to the porch. 3 black cars, expensive models, were stopped at the iron gate. Several men got out. The one who seemed to be the boss was tall, strong, well-dressed even in the heat of the backwoods. White dress shirt, new jeans, shiny leather shoes. He had the face of someone who was used to ordering and being obeyed without question. He opened the gate without asking permission and walked towards the house. Arrogance was in every step he took. "Good evening," he said when he got close to the porch. His voice was deep, controlled, dangerous. "I'm looking for a lady, Luana Ferreira Santos. I heard she might be around here." "Never heard that name in my life," I replied, keeping the shotgun in my hands but pointed down. "Are you absolutely sure she was pregnant, or rather, she was? She must have given birth a few days ago." "Never seen any pregnant woman around here." He smiled, but it was a cold smile without any joy. "Look, Mr. Carlos, I'm going to be very direct with you. This woman ran away from home taking my son. I just want them back. I'm not going to cause trouble for anyone. It's John Carlos, and if she doesn't want to come back, it's not a matter of wanting or not wanting. It's a matter of legal right. The son is mine by right. A son is no one's property in this world." His fake smile disappeared completely. "Listen here, Mr. John Carlos, just John Carlos. It doesn't matter the name. I know she's here in this house. Her car broke down on the road a few days ago. Someone in town said that a farmer from here helped a pregnant woman. 2 + 2 is 4. I felt my heart accelerate, but I kept my face serious and firm. Maybe I helped someone, but if I did, she left a long time ago. Is that so?" He took a threatening step towards the porch. "Then you don't mind if I take a quick look in the house?" I raised the shotgun, not pointing directly at him, but making it very clear that I was ready to use it if necessary. "Actually, I mind very much, yes. This is my private property. You weren't invited to enter." He stopped on the spot, looking at the gun with respect. For a few tense seconds, we stood measuring each other like two animals before the fight. He trying to decide if it was worth forcing the situation. I'm making it clear that I wasn't going to back down even an inch. "All right for now," he said finally, "but this isn't over here at all. I know she's in there, and I'm coming back. When you come back, you better bring a signed warrant. Until then, you can keep passing far away from my property." He looked at me with pure anger in his eyes, but turned around and walked back to the cars. Before getting into the main car, he shouted loudly, "Luana, I know you're in there listening. You can't hide forever. This son is mine, and I'm going to have him back, even if it's the last thing I do." He got in the car angrily, started making noise, and left the property raising a cloud of red dust. I waited until the noise of the engines disappeared completely on the road before calling Luana. She appeared in the hallway a few minutes later, pale and trembling, with the baby in her arms. "Did he leave?" she asked with a weak voice. "Yes, but he said clearly that he's coming back. What do we do now?" I looked at her, at the innocent baby, at that woman who in a few days had become so important to me. I thought about the empty life I led before she arrived. I thought about the joy that returned to that dead house. "Now we prepare," I said with determination, "because the next time he comes, we're going to be ready to receive him." Rogerio, now I knew the name of the bastard, didn't come back the next day, nor the other. 2 whole weeks passed of tense silence, where every noise of an engine on the road made our hearts race like frightened animals. 2 weeks where Luana and I got even closer, building a routine that seemed natural, as if we had always lived like this together. She took care of the house with a care that made everything shine again. Planted colorful flowers in front of the porch, yellow sunflowers, red roses, the same ones that Mary used to plant. Organized the messy pantry, fixed curtains torn by time, brought new life to corners that had been forgotten for years. Little Carlos grew visibly, smarter and stronger every day, smiling when he saw me coming from work in the field. "Did you know that he already recognizes your voice?" Luana told me one afternoon while I was holding the baby on the porch. "When you come from the pasture, he gets agitated, looking for you with his little eyes." It was completely true. There was something special between me and that child that went far beyond any explanation. Maybe it was the fact that I was the one who received him into the world with these hands. Maybe it was the love that I never could give to my own son and that now found a destination. It didn't matter the reason. What mattered was that he was my son, in the deepest and truest sense of the word. "John Carlos," Luana said that same afternoon while preparing dinner in the kitchen. "I need to tell you something serious." From the tone of her voice, I realized that it was something very important. "Tell me, honey." "My sister got a job for me in a big store in Savannah. Said that there I would be away from Rogerio forever, that it would be a safe new beginning." I felt the ground slip from under my feet. "And you want to go?" She stopped chopping the tomatoes and looked me straight in the eyes. "I don't know if I want to go, but maybe it's the best. For everyone." "Why?" "Because I can't stay here forever depending on your kindness. Because you deserve to have your life back in peace. Because it's not fair for me to turn you into a victim of my problems." "And what if I don't want my life back? What if I really want you to stay here with me?" "John Carlos, Luana, in 3 long years I haven't really lived. I only existed like a ghost. I woke up, I worked, I slept, and I repeated everything the next day without meaning. There was no reason, there was no joy, there was nothing that was worth it. You two gave me back my life. You gave me back the reason to exist." She approached me, put her hand on my chest. "And you gave me back my dignity. You taught me that there are still good men in the world, that there is still kindness without interest. Then why think about leaving?" "Because I love you too much to put you in real danger." The words were suspended in the warm air between us. She had finally said it. She had finally said what we both had known for days, but hadn't had the courage to confess. "I love you too," I said, holding her face in my hands. "I love you and I love that boy as if he were my own son." "Then you understand why I need to go, to protect you too." "No, I don't understand anything, because running away is not a solution for anything. Rogerio can appear in Savannah too. He can appear anywhere in the world. The only difference is that there you will be alone and unprotected, and here you have someone who protects you with their life. And if he comes back with more people, and if he hurts you, let me worry about that." That night, after the baby slept peacefully, we stayed talking on the porch until very late. We talked about everything, about the painful past, about the fears, about the dreams that we thought were lost forever. We talked about the possibility of being a true family, unlikely and strange, but real. "If I stay," she said, "and if we can get rid of Rogerio forever, what happens next? Then we live for real. We raise Carlos together, take care of the ranch, plant our own garden. We build a new life, and you think you can love another man's son as if he were your own blood." I looked out the window at the room where the baby was sleeping. "Luana, when he was born in my hands, when I heard his first cry, something changed forever in here inside my chest. I can't explain exactly what, but it changed completely. He may have another's blood, but his heart will be created here, in this house, with our love. That's worth much more than any genetics." She cried then. She cried with relief, with fear, with mixed hope. She cried because she had finally found someone who truly loved her, who truly loved her son. "Then I'll stay," she whispered. "We face everything together." It was exactly when we heard the noise. It wasn't a car this time. It was at least 3, maybe 4, coming slowly along the main road. They stopped in front of the property, but didn't turn off the rumbling engines. "It's him," Luana whispered, turning pale at the time. "He's back." I grabbed the shotgun and went to the porch. This time, Rogerio wasn't alone. He had brought at least 5 men with him, all getting out of the cars, looking unfriendly and very dangerous. "John Carlos!" Rogerio shouted from the gate. "This time I didn't come to talk. I came to get what is mine by right. And I already said that there's nothing here that's yours," I shouted back. "Luana!" he bellowed like an animal. "You have 10 seconds to appear with my son. If you don't show up, we're going to go in there and get him by force." I looked back. Luana was in the hallway with the baby in her arms, trembling with fear. "Go to the back room," I whispered. "Take the keys to the pickup, and if they come in here, you leave through the back and run to Tony's house. And you, I'll take care of this here. John Carlos, don't do anything stupid. There are many of them. Go, Luana. Go now." She hesitated, then approached and kissed me quickly. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too. Now go." She disappeared into the hallway. I heard the back door opening carefully. "Time's up!" Rogerio shouted. "We're coming in!" They opened the iron gate and started walking towards the house. I was alone on the porch with a double-barrel shotgun against at least 6 determined men. It wasn't good odds at all. "Last chance!" I shouted. "Get off my property now!" "Where is she, old man?" Rogerio asked, already climbing the steps of the porch. "Where's my son?" "They're not here." "Blatant lie." He nodded to the others. "Search the whole house." That's when I made the decision that would change everything forever. I pointed the shotgun directly at Rogerio's chest. "No one enters my house," I said, with the firmest voice I could manage. "No one." He stopped, looking at the barrel of the gun. "You don't have the guts. Want to bet?" For a few seconds that seemed eternal. We stood staring at each other in total silence, he trying to decide if I really had the guts to pull the trigger. I trying to seem braver than I really felt. That's when we heard the baby crying coming from the back of the house. Rogerio smiled evilly, thought I was stupid. I surrounded the whole house. "I have 2 more men back there." My blood ran cold in my veins. Luana was cornered. Now you're going to lower that gun, and we're going to resolve this like civilized people, he said, climbing another step. That's when I heard Luana's voice screaming, "Help! John Carlos!" Something inside me broke like a dam. All the accumulated anger for Mary's death, for the loneliness, for the threat to that family that I had chosen, exploded all at once. I pointed the shotgun up and fired a shot into the air. The noise echoed through the fields like thunder. "Next shot won't be up," I shouted. Rogerio recoiled, really scared. "You're crazy." "I am crazy with anger, and I'm going to get even crazier if anyone lays a finger on her or the boy." "You can't stay with them. They're mine." "They're not anything. Family isn't something you own. Family is built, is protected, is loved. You don't know how to do any of that." That's when Tony appeared on the road, riding his horse with 3 more neighbors. They had heard the shot and came to see what was happening. "What's going on here, John Carlos?" Tony asked, looking at the cars and the men. "These men are trespassing on my property, Tony, threatening a woman and an innocent baby." Tony looked at Rogerio with a mean face. "Is that true?" "That's not your problem, old man," Rogerio replied. "Yes, it is my problem. Everyone here knows each other, helps each other, and John Carlos is a good man." The other neighbors nodded in agreement. Suddenly, Rogerio found himself in the minority, far from the city where he had influence, in the middle of people who protected their own. "Listen here," Tony said, with the authority of someone who was 80 years old and wasn't afraid of anything. "You're going to leave now, or I'm going to call the police. And around here, the police take a while to arrive. But when they arrive, they don't mess around." Rogerio looked around, calculating the chances. 6 men against at least 8, counting me. In their territory, far from home. It wasn't good odds. "This isn't over here," he said, retreating. "Luana, you're going to regret running away from me." But he was already calling his men. In 5 minutes, the cars disappeared on the road, leaving only red dust and the smell of burnt fuel. I ran to the back of the house. Luana was crouched behind the pickup, with the baby in her arms, crying with fear. The 2 men that Rogerio had left back there had fled when they heard the shot. "It's over," I said, hugging the 2. "It's over, honey. They're gone. What if they come back?" "They won't come back. At least not so soon. And if they come back, we'll be ready." Tony and the other neighbors stayed around there until late at night, talking, planning. It was agreed that any strange movement in the region, any unknown car, they would warn at the time. The protection network was formed and functioning. "Are you sure you want to face this?" I asked Luana that night when we were finally alone. "I'm totally sure. I'm not going to spend my whole life running, and I'm not going to deprive Carlos of having a real father. I may not be his biological father. You are his father in all the ways that really matter. You who brought him into the world, you who will raise him, you who will teach him to be a good man. Blood is just blood. Love is what makes the real family." 3 months later, when the baby was already smiling and starting to fix his gaze on things, Luana and I got married in the little church in town. It was a simple but beautiful ceremony, with the neighbors and some of her relatives who came from afar. Tony was my best man. Luana's sister, who was finally able to come from Austin, was the maid of honor. Rogerio never appeared again. We learned later that he had moved to New York, where he found another woman to torment. Sometimes I wonder if he didn't give up because he realized that he would never get what he wanted by force, or if he simply found an easier victim somewhere else. It doesn't matter. What matters is that he disappeared from our life forever. Carlos grew strong and healthy like a new calf. At 6 months, he was already sitting alone. At 1 year, he took his first staggering steps around the house. He never knew that I wasn't his biological father. For him, for me, and for everyone who knew us, I was always simply the father. The ranch prospered like never before. With Luana taking care of the house and the administration, she had a natural knack for numbers and business. We managed to invest in improvements, buy more cattle, expand the property. But the most important thing wasn't the money that came in. It was waking up every morning with a clear purpose, with people to love and protect. One Sunday afternoon, when Carlos was already 2 years old and running around the yard chasing the chickens, Luana sat next to me on the porch. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "About how life is strange and wonderful. 5 years ago, I was a lost man, without direction, just waiting for time to pass without meaning. Today, I have a family. I have a son. I have a reason to live." And I was a woman running away, scared, not knowing if I would be able to protect my baby. Today, I have a real home, a husband who loves me, a son who has a real father. Carlos stumbled and fell in the yard. He started crying loudly. I got up to go get him, but he got up alone, shook the dust off his clothes, and went back to chasing the chickens as if nothing had happened. "Just like the father," Luana laughed. "Stubborn and strong. I hope he's more than that. I hope he's kind too. He will be. He's learning from the best possible example." When the sun set that afternoon, painting the sky golden as always, I realized one thing. Sometimes life takes us through the most tortuous and difficult paths to deliver exactly what we need. I thought that my story had ended when Mary died. I found out that it was just the end of the first chapter. The drought that had lasted for months finally broke that week. It rained for 3 days straight, strong and generous, washing the earth, filling the watering holes, making the green pasture sprout where before there was only cracked and yellow dirt. Carlos clapped his hands at the window, fascinated with the drops running down the glass. "Look, Daddy," he said, pointing to the rain, "water from the sky." "That's right, my son, water from the sky." And indeed it was. Water to quench the thirst of the earth, to make life sprout again, to wash away the dust of the past and prepare the fertile ground for the future. In the midst of the most cruel drought, a hope had arrived, and that hope had a name. Family, love, new beginning. Sometimes, when I look back, I still get emotional remembering that day on the road, when Luana was lost and I decided to stop to help. A simple decision, taken on an impulse of kindness that changed 3 lives forever. We never know when a small gesture can turn into something immense. We never know when a casual encounter can be the beginning of a new complete story. Life has these things. It catches us by surprise just when we think everything is lost. Today, when I wake up and hear the laughter of my son mixed with the voice of my wife, when I see the house full of life and the ranch prosperous, I know that every scar, every tear, every night of loneliness was worth it, because they brought me here, to this perfect moment where love conquered fear, where hope defeated despair, in the middle of the drought, in the middle of the pain, in the middle of nowhere, sometimes sprouts the most beautiful thing in the world, a second chance. Today, Carlos is 5 years old. He is a smart, happy, full of life boy. He has his mother's eyes, and everyone says his father's stubborn ways. He doesn't know and will never know that he wasn't born of my blood. Because family is not made of blood. It is made of love, of care, of being present in the moments that matter. Luana is pregnant again. This time it's my son, biologically speaking. But that doesn't change anything in my love for Carlos. The two will grow up as brothers, children of the same father who loves them equally. The ranch now has 500 acres. We bought the neighboring lands with the profit of the last years. We have first-class cattle, a bigger and more comfortable house, a life that Mary would be proud to see. But the most important thing is not the material achievements. It's knowing that we built something solid, something true, something that will last. It's knowing that in the midst of so much hate and violence that exists in the world, it is still possible to create a corner of peace, love, and hope. Sometimes, when the work gets tough and the weariness hits, I remember that day on the road. The despair in Luana's eyes, the moment when Carlos was born in my hands, the feeling of witnessing a miracle. And I thank you. I thank that car that broke down in the right place. I thank Luana's courage to accept the help of a stranger. I thank the destiny that brought together 3 lost people and made them a family, because in the end, it doesn't matter where we were born or where we came from. What matters is who we choose to love and who chooses to love us back. What matters is that even in the driest, emptiest, most hopeless deserts, a flower can still be born. And when it is born, it changes everything around, makes everything more beautiful, more alive, more full of meaning. Life is like that, unexpected, generous with those who have an open heart, capable of transforming a casual encounter on a dusty road into the most important thing that has ever happened to us. In the midst of the drought, a hope. In the middle of the pain, a love. In the middle of the end, a new beginning. And we discovered that not everything was lost. It was just waiting for the right moment to flourish.